yesterday you also said 1,80,000 crores is what you're going to use to recapitalize banks, and to put it in simple language is what taxpayers are going to pay to try and undo the past mistakes of the states as well as of the banks. You spent a lot of time talking about power discoms. What is the plan? Like, will you extend the moratorium which is already there? Is it a new lifeline?
We'll certainly discuss it with the states. But then the states will have to realize that this system of undercharging for power and then expecting the banking system to support it indefinitely can't go on. The banks will put their hands up at one stage because the affordability of the banks also has gone down. I have sat with all the banks' chairpersons, and I have asked each one of them as to what are the sectors and the industries responsible for the NPAs across the board. And some of the names are common. And I regret to say that in some cases the discoms almost figure bank after bank, and therefore it is no part of responsible governance for a state government to say that I will borrow from banks in order to supply cheaper electricity because I'll go out of power after 5 years. It's for my successors to solve the problem. When Vasundhara Raje lost power in 2008, the Rajasthan Electricity Board was in good shape. Between 2008 to 2013, the crisis developed. And now it's the responsibility of the present government to reverse the discredit. So those who were in power between 2008 and 2013 had to realize that the state doesn't come to an end with their going out of power.
So is there any possible way for the centre to come out with some guidelines or something?
Well, we'll consider that. And once we've considered that, only then I'll be in a position to announce them.
I wanted to also end the interview by asking you a little something about cricket, because I know you love cricket. And it's also on a sad note, with what's happening as far as Pakistan goes, all this terrorism, Gurdaspur, Usman, etc. Some from your parties also said that we should break cricketing ties with the country. Would you agree with that?
Well, it's a subject for the External Affairs Ministry to decide. And I'd love to see an India-Pakistan match, but conditions have to exist for an India-Pakistan match to take place. In any case, on multilateral series, we play each other. And I'm looking forward to a multilateral series which is T20 being hosted by India.
Just last thing, as far as consumers go, I want to talk about real estate. It's something that you've also spoken about in the 2 budget speeches that you've made. That market is only getting from bad to worse. The fact is consumers don't have more money in their pockets today. The credit offtake by banks has not gone up. What can the government do? Can the government do anything to try and help out this sector? And of course, for their consumption has to increase.
Well, I think it's a collective effort which has to be made. And I'm not speaking about the real estate industry as such. The collective effort is the rates have to come down. And the rates will come down, the banks have to then pass on the rates. The health of the banks has to improve. The inflation has to be kept under control. And the rates have to go down. Now, these are all steps which have an interrelationship amongst them. I have not the least doubt whether with the growing Indian economy, we are moving in that direction. And as we move more and more in that direction, as the growth rates, etc., pick up, the problem of NPAs, the problem of keeping inflation under control, these are all areas we'll be able to resolve quite effectively.
What would you say is an ideal rate regime for real estate industry to prosper?
No, I won't hazard a guess as far as that rate is concerned. But then it has to be an affordable rate. If you remember Mr. Vajpayee's government, you had a situation where EMIs were cheaper than the rent. It is that situation we really have to create as an ideal situation. That utopia may or may not be possible, but that has to be the target eventually. What we are doing is taking every step which was taken earlier, and really, my friends in the UPA must introspect this. You increase the land cost several times over. The interest rates, because of your failure to control inflation, skyrocket. And between the two of them, if at all 100 basis points in the last 1 year, the rates have come down. So between the two of these factors, the land cost and the interest rate, you make real estate unaffordable. And now the onus is on us to see how land costs can be curtailed, and the onus is on us to see how gradually the central bank is able to bring down the rates.
Your Black Money Act and the Benami Act also have the potential to bring down prices, because if that kind of black money is sucked out of the system, that should have an effect on prices and bring it down.
You see, that will have the effect of transferring the transactions to only one color of money. And I think with all the steps we are taking, particularly also after the black money law, I don't know how many people file a declaration and how many people actually make a declaration. But I'm sure there's going to be a great disincentive for people to repeat those malpractices in future.
And one of the impact of that should be seen perhaps in the property market, which is flooded with...
Obviously, both even in the domestic economy then, the trend has to be in favor of one color of money.
You had come out with REIT guidelines, real estate investment trust, was being seen as a landmark move. Are you disappointed that not one company has come forward?
No, it takes time. It takes time for them to really form the trust. It takes time for them to, after forming the trust, the procedural areas. And I do understand, some people have spoken to me that some of the real estate companies are in the process of converting their already rented buildings into a REITs.
Okay, so perhaps we'll see one this year. That's what the Finance Secretary had said. What about the real estate regulator bill? It is something that is, so many people want a real estate regulator. Again, mired in politics, stuck in parliament.
I think there have to be two real benchmarks for that bill. As far as malpractices in the industry are concerned, they must come to an end. That has to be the strong point of that bill. The bill should not create conditions where there is disincentive on real estate development. Because 60-65% of the people in India still have to shift to proper housing. And therefore you need, with smart cities, with suburban townships, you still have a huge area in real estate which is still to develop.
So you think the bill is going to come down anytime soon? India will have a regulator? We've been waiting.
Obviously, the select committee has given its report. The report is before the Rajya Sabha. The Rajya Sabha is not functioning thanks to the Congress party. So as soon as the Congress party sees reason, India will be able to move further.
You've opened up FDI in defense. You've opened up FDI in insurance. What is next? Could it be media? You're also the INB minister.
Well, unless we decide that, I'm not in a position to make a statement. I read news items and I'm told you journalists want your employment opportunities to increase, so we'll bear that in mind.
What about e-commerce? That is something this government will not entertain?
Well, nobody has said that. Nobody has said that. Technology is a reality and it's extremely difficult to defy technology.
So we could perhaps, in the end...
The Commerce Ministry will take a view, the appropriate ministry which deals with it.
Multi-brand retail totally out of the question.
You see, I have not said it's out of the question. The old policy is still continuing. I've always said that. Nobody's changed the policy, except that I've put a caveat that my party's consistent position has been that we were never enthusiastic about this.
Because in today's time, hasn't it become redundant when we talk about FDI and e-commerce, when we talk about FDI and multi-brand retail, because the times we live in?
You have a point in that the situation has changed because of e-commerce. And the world today has to regard e-commerce as a reality. And that's why I said that you can't defy technology. Nobody will be able to do it. India will not be able to do it. And India should not do it.
Oh, India should not do it. That means you are in favor of it.
You see, it's not possible because I'm clearly of the view that nobody is in a position to defy technology.
And people that come to meet you, I'm sure one of the sectors that they are talking about is e-commerce, right?
Well, people do meet us. The appropriate ministry will bring a proposal as and when, and I'll express my view.
You've always said you're pro-investment. Do you think the Maggie fiasco has given India a bad name?
Well, I would say public health considerations have always to be balanced and blended with the requirements of the economy. Speaking for myself, I've never been enthusiastic about bans. Particularly when conflicting opinions are there. But then the authority has taken a view, the matter is in a court, and therefore it may be inappropriate for me on that specific matter to make a comment.
Speaking of courts, when can we expect any forward movement of the AP Shah panel report?
Well, it's under active consideration as far as the government is concerned.
Thank you, Mr. Jaitley.